The growl came first, low and deep, like the earth itself was groaning. We froze, all 5 of us. The fire in the middle of our camp barely gave enough light to see each other, let alone what was out there. The night had swallowed the forest whole. "What was that?" Joseph whispered. His voice was shaky. I felt his fear in my own chest. Another growl. Closer. This time, it wasn't just one sound. It was joined by a rustling, the kind you hear when something big is moving through the bushes, slow and deliberate. "It's nothing," Dee said too quickly. "Probably just a hyena or something." Hyenas don't sound like that. We were deep in the Congo, miles from the village, following one of those narrow animal trails that cut through the jungle. Dee, the oldest, wanted to prove something, I think. He'd heard about an old hunter's camp nearby, abandoned but still standing. He said we could stay there, just for the night. Something to tell stories about later. But then the sound started. Dee grabbed a stick from the fire and held it out, the flame casting a dim circle around us. "It'll scare off anything," he said, and then it stepped into the light. The jaguar was massive, bigger than any animal I'd ever seen. Its spots shimmered, almost glowing in the firelight. But its eyes, God, those eyes were the worst. They didn't look like an animal's. They looked human, like they understood too much. None of us moved. None of us even breathed. It didn't roar or snarl. It just stared at us, and then its lips curled back, like it was smiling. "Don't run," Dee hissed. "It'll chase if we run." But someone moved. Joseph, I think. Just a step back, but the jaguar's head snapped toward him. It lunged, not at Joseph, but at the fire. Its paw smashed into the flames, scattering embers everywhere. And then it was gone. Just like that. We didn't sleep that night. At first light, we packed up, barely speaking, and started back toward the village. But the trail was different. It wasn't the one we'd followed in. The trees were twisted, and the path felt like it was leading us in circles. The jaguar didn't come back, but the forest didn't feel empty either. We kept hearing it, branches creaking, leaves crunching, but every time we turned, there was nothing there. When we finally stumbled out into the village, old Mama Ikang was waiting for us. She took one look at us, shook her head, and muttered something under her breath. Later, she told us the story. "You saw the forest walker," she said. "Not a real jaguar, a spirit. It tests the foolish ones who wander too far. You're lucky it let you leave." I didn't feel lucky. None of us did. Dee hasn't been the same since. He doesn't talk about it, but sometimes, late at night, I hear him muttering. He says the forest is still watching, and sometimes I believe him.